you and a plant have so much in common. And that's what we're going to talk about this week, because I want you to start seeing yourself and caring for yourself as you would a plant, right? Not every plant is going to thrive in the same situation, and neither are you. So welcome to episode 104 of the Positivity Experience. Let's embrace being a plant. Check it out. Hey, everybody, and welcome back to episode 104 of the Positivity Experience. I am so happy to be spending the holiday weekend with you. Regardless of whatever holiday you celebrate, happy holidays. If you don't celebrate any holiday, happy Sunday, or happy any day you're listening to this. Over on the Patreon, it's a very good episode this week. If you struggle with any type of cycles, okay? A bipolar cycle, a depressional cycle, an anxious cycle. So I want to talk to you over there on that and help you kind of cope through getting through it. So if you are a Patreon subscriber, you already have it. If not, you can be patreon.com/the positivity experience. Or honestly, you can just go into the show description and there's a link that says become a Patreon, and then you'll get 4 extra episodes a month, just like you do here. Get the 4 episodes. So that's 8 podcasts, if that interests you. But I want to give a huge shout out to all of the newest Patreon members. I love you guys. I hope you guys are having an amazing holiday and just an amazing day. I love all of you. So I really want to talk to you about the 5 ways you have to start seeing yourself as a plant and really using it. Now, I like to use different analogies because sometimes people used to use really big words with me, like healing. I know you're like, that's not a big word. It really is. Because you're like, okay, healing. What does that even entail? What does that look like? So sometimes I needed it broken down for me. So I try to do the same because I want you to be able to have an actionable item that you can look at and go, oh, okay, this makes sense. So we're going to cover 5 here today. The 5 ways that you are a plant. You and a plant are very similar, and how to really pull so you can thrive, right? Because plants need a pretty good combination of things in order for them to thrive and really last a long time, right? So we're going to talk about the first foundational piece, which is this soil. All right. So if a plant does not have good soil, the soil's rancid, the soil's a little toxic, the soil, that's why you test soil. That's why sometimes you replant a plant. That's why you have to do those things, right? Now, how does that mean for you? What does that look like? Where your soil is going to be your surroundings. All right. So think about this. You get a new plant. It's already in some soil. You go to the nursery. You've picked up a plant. You come home. You got all the instructions. Water it this time. Put it in this amount of light. Okay. It's fine. Looks like it's thriving. It's good. That's why you bought it. Doesn't look great. It doesn't look bad or anything. It looks great. So you notice over, a little bit of time, it's like, it looks a little weak. I've given it enough water. I've gotten sunshine. God, what's going on here? And then you go, maybe I need to replant it. Maybe I need different soils. Let's say for the sake of this conversation, you test it and you're like, ooh, that soil's way off. pH is low or too high or whatever. And so what do? You repot the plant. You put it in fresh soil. Well, you got to do the same with yourself. Okay. If your surroundings, and I have people say this to me all the time, can I heal in a toxic environment? No. I understand you're not just going to be able to be like, all right, this is toxic, I'm out. I mean, you got to create a strategy for it. So consider that researching what type of soil that you need. Because if you go into, and it's really easy to do this, like, oh my God, I don't know, I'm stuck here. Like, how am I supposed to heal in this? You're not stuck there. It just feels like you're stuck in that moment because you haven't done the research. You don't realize all of these steps that you're going to have to take. So let's say, again, for the sake of the conversation, this plant, you realize, wow, okay. And let's say it's a special plant, like an orchid or something. And you're like, wow, okay, I really need to make sure that the pH is balanced. I need to check it every so often, and because it can go off. And okay, it's the same thing with you. You've got to check your surroundings. You have to see what is nurturing you and what is not. If it is not nurturing you, stop feeding what is not nurturing you. See, the more you're feeding the negativity, or you're hoping that the soil changes for you, well, if I wish it'll go away. No, it won't. The soil's not changing, guys. It's not. It is up to you to replant yourself. And yes, it takes time. It might not be overnight. The problem is you're waiting for the soil to nurture you. You're waiting for your surroundings. You're waiting for your family, your parents, your spouses, your children, your job. You're waiting for money. You're waiting for all of these things to change the soil for you. No, it is your responsibility to change that soil. And yes, it's going to take legwork. You can look at it and say, oh my God, it looks impossible. Or you can break it down into actionable steps, like in micro goals. But first, you even have to know what your soil needs are, right? So if you go and you buy seeds, you don't even buy the plant yet. You buy the seeds to germinate and all that stuff. Well, you better figure out what kind of soil it needs. You better check it. You better test it. You better know. You better do the research before you buy it. You don't just go buy tomatoes and decide, I think I'll grow them inside. No, you're not, unless you have some special hothouse. So you can't do that just on a whim. You have to research it, much like your own healing. So if your surroundings and who you are surrounding yourself with is not amazing for you, now we have to reconsider it. That goes into number 2. If you take a plant and you plant it too close to another plant, one of them's going to die, or if not both, because it's going to choke it out, right? That's why if you get plants and you plant them, let's say outside, right? They're going to tell you, plant them 6 feet apart, plant them 3 feet apart, whatever the case may be. There's a reason, because you don't want the other plant to take away your nutrients. That's like your life. So this is where you have to really analyze who is around you. What people are around you? What's the situation around you? Is it robbing you of your nutrients? Is it depleting you? Because if it is, you're going to have to replant yourself anyway. And that means distancing yourself from people or allowing them to distance from you. Well, it's not allowing, they were just going to do it and you're just going to accept it. So this is why that important piece comes into knowing. So again, your soil, so your situation and your surroundings, you want those to be optimal. I didn't say perfect. I said optimal. It's going to go off base from time to time. That's why you're always having to replant yourself. That's fine. Okay, there's no static place that you're just going to plant it and it's just going to thrive forever. It's just not happening. You always have to grow. You always have to evolve. That's number 1. Number 2 is, are the people who are around you providing you enough space to grow? Right? Because if they're not providing you enough space to grow, we don't blame the other plant. We don't go, look at this plant. This plant is struggling it's like robbing this other's nutrients. No, you just move one plant. I don't care that you love the plant that you're sitting next to. I don't care if you're like, this is the best plant I've ever seen in my life. I love this plant next to me. It's depleting you. It's the acceptance of that. So see, that's why you have to be very mindful and very with a lot of intent. You have to be intentional on where you plant yourself. Okay, where do you plant yourself and who you plant yourself with? Right? Because I can promise you, there's been many times in my life, I'm like, oh my God, I love this person. They're so cool. But I can just feel it depleting me. And there's a good chance my energy is depleting them. Like that, you got to keep that real. Not everybody is depleting you. If they're depleting you, you're depleting them. Okay. You may not see it that way because you're all up in your feels, and feelings are not facts. They're never going to be facts. They never will be facts. And see, this is something you can control. You know how you focus on all of the things that you can't control? This is absolutely something you can control. You're surrounded, not in the moment. I understand. So don't go, oh my God, I can't change it right now. You can change it though. You can. It might not be right now. Okay. Which goes into number 3. You don't plant a seedling and go, okay, grow tomorrow. Hurry up, grow. I need these tomatoes. Hurry, grow. I mean, you can do that, but you got to be patient. It's like, so let's say you're planting a tree or something, right? So let's say you're planting a tree and you're planting it from a little sapling, right? It's not seeds, but little teeny tiny sapling. And you want this beautiful, luscious tree. And you know it's going to grow up to 17 feet tall. Yeah, that might take 15 years. You heard me. It might, depending on whatever, for this conversation, it might take 15 years. So you have to get adapted to understanding that if you want a plant to grow, like I planted these 2 like plant bushes, but they're like plants in my front little garden area. and I got them a few years ago, and they were really small. They look like little snowballs. Well, they're a little bit bigger now. They look like the middle section of the middle section of a snowman. I planted them 3 years ago. Yeah, I want them to grow in to kind of almost make a little, not a privacy thing because it's in front of my house, but I want them to connect. That's probably going to take another 5 years. Well, guess what? That's also you. See, here's the thing, especially if you just replanted yourself. If you're like, oh my God, I got out of that toxic soil. That soil wasn't good for me. I was too close to these things that were just zapping my nutritional factor. So I'm going to replant myself. Well, guess what? It's going to take a minute for your roots to get in there. You're not just going to plant your roots and then start thriving. No, hard pass. You got to get used to the new soil. You're a little shell shocked. You're a little, that's that trauma. You're like, oh my God, what just happened? They just literally took me out of my soil that I was comfortable in, bad, but I was comfortable. And now they threw me into this area. Oh my God, I'm a little shell shocked. So sometimes you're not going to thrive right away when you're relocating, right? And when you're replanting, you're not going to thrive in the beginning. You're going to take a minute. So this goes into patience. And I have said this multiple times, and I will hang my hat on it, and I will say it 100 times more, or more than that, is your healing journey is lifelong. Stop rushing the process. The amount of times people have said, oh my God, I've been in therapy for 1.5 years, and I just don't feel like I'm making a lot of progress. Yeah, why? Because it's going too slow for you? Oh, well, you have to accept that healing, just like growing a plant, isn't going to be on your terms. And it's only going to be as good as you are as you are nutritionally giving yourself that, doing the things you don't want to do, doing them often, being honest, lowering your ego. Stop expecting people to do the things for you. Stop expecting people to fix you. Stop thinking people owe you things because you had a bad childhood, none of which are true. Nobody owes you that. So you got to be patient with yourself. You can be like, oh my God, I can't wait to get in a relationship. You need to wait to get into a relationship because you're still carrying that old trauma from that other relationship. Stop trying to grow yourself so quickly that you're going to leave one toxic situation of a relationship, throw yourself into another relationship, and then dump all that toxicity onto another person. Now you're expecting that other person to make you feel better, make you grow, make you flower, make you blossom. But you just carried all that toxic soil with you. So now you're expecting someone to make you grow, but you don't even have the foundation. The foundation is self-love. The self-love is your soil. Your self-love is that soil. So if you're not willing to sit in that and to accept it, and you can not be willing all you want, but if you're not in acceptance of it and realizing, and this is really important, let's look at a plant. This is still part of number 3. Let's look at a plant, and some plants or trees or anything will go into hibernation. Doesn't look like they're growing because they're not. I mean, they're just there. They're just trying to survive, do the best they can until they have that time and space to do it again. You have to do the same thing. The amount of people who want, oh, I learned a lot this week. Oh, I can't wait to learn more. I can't wait to learn more. Well, you got to integrate, babe. You got to pause. You got to celebrate. You got to integrate. You got to know it. You can't just change your frequency every week. You got to wait until you're ready for that. Not when you are ready, when energetically you are ready. This is the most important part of it, because if you're not willing to understand that not only do you have to pause, but sometimes you got to go backwards for your healing. You're not disappointing me. You're not disappointing you. You're not disappointing anybody. You're going backwards because that's how you're going to have to learn your tools. In the world of growth and healing, there's never a straight shot. You're not just going to go to A, and then run to Z real quick. No, there's a lot of alphabet letters in between. 24 to be exact. Okay, so here's the thing with that. It's okay if you slide back. You're just going to be more aware of your actions or more aware of what you could have done, not to beat yourself up, but now you have more tools for awareness. Awareness is the key. Oh man, I'm aware I did that. I can't believe I did. I can't believe you did it. So what? Stop saying I can't believe I did it. Stop saying I'm sorry I did it. Say sorry if you've hurt somebody, but with yourself, don't beat yourself up. You have to go backwards. So this patience of journey, the journey of patience, I guess I should say, is going to be something that you have to embrace. Because if not, you're going to kill the plant and you're going to hurt yourself. and you're just going to be sitting in some soil that's dead, and you're just going to have brown leaves all over you, and you're not going to be thriving. You know what I'm saying? So if you're like, if you're doing that and you're rushing the process, you're going to kill it before you expand it. It was funny. I was watching, and in this, it really makes sense. You got to watch 3 Pines. It's a really good show. I think it's on Prime or Hulu, one of those. And there's this lady in there, not giving anything away, but there's this lady in there, and she loves geese and ducks. Like, that's her jam. And this duck, she had this duck egg in the oven to finish, like, helping it come out. And it started to peck through the shell. And so she's like, oh, okay. She didn't rush it, but she was kind of helping it peck through the shell. Well, and I said to Paul, I said, well, that duck is going to die, right? I said, ducks, they have to find their own way. That's how they get strength in their wings. That's how they do those things. Like, they have to come out of that shell. Stop rushing it. Stop thinking that you're doing them a favor. And sure enough, then like it cut away scene, and she's like burying the duck, and she's like, I was just trying to help it. No, stop it. You gotta be patient. Your lack of patience is getting you in trouble at every given turn. You're jumping into relationships too quick. You're trying to rush your weight loss journey. You're trying to rush these things. There is a process. Stop marrying yourself to that end goal. Stop marrying yourself to planting the tomatoes on Monday and needing a full, bloom of all of these tomatoes on Tuesday. That's not going to happen. This is the acceptance piece, babes. If you're rushing the process, you will kill it. Not like yourself literally, but you're going to squash your soul. You're not going to grow. It doesn't matter. I want this. Well, then do the work. Do the process of the work. Who the hell wouldn't want to yield of tomatoes the next day you plant it? I planted on Monday. I yielded it on Tuesday. Yeah, everybody would. That's not life. So if you're not willing to invest that time and money into yourself, then guess what? You're going to stay stuck in that soil. The plant beside you is going to keep robbing you of your nutrients, and you're going to have overshot yourself and try to do it in such a way that it's just way too fast. And it's just not going to be effective. Oh, okay. Number 4, you can't have even a cactus needs a little bit of water. Okay. Now I have an air plant, but I still need to water the air plant's leaves, and then I soak it in it every month. It just gets a little bit of nutrients. So again, every plant needs a different amount of water. So do you, right? So if you see it, you know what the plant needs. Again, you got to know what the plant needs, right? So if you buy an orchid, you don't just go, okay, I brought the orchid, I brought it home, and I'm going to go water it right away. Why? You don't even know what it needs. Now it's the same for you. How are you giving yourself that water? How are you giving yourself that nutrient, because water is a good nutrient for it, or the hydration for it, in order for it to grow? Like, how are you doing that for yourself? Well, first of all, you got to know what you need. Here's a call of action for you guys. Get a pad of paper. Get a pen and pad of paper. Pause this if you want. Come back to it later. It's 18 minutes and 27 seconds. You can always just get right to it. You got to ask yourself, what is it that allows you to thrive? Not people. Take other human beings out of this scenario. What is the water for you? What is that water for you? So let me give you an example in my world. So this way you can kind of understand it in real time, right? Is for me, I have to do my 5 journals in the morning. That's my water. I have to do my mantra in the morning. That's my water. I have to move my body on the days I move my body. I don't move them every day because rest is just as important, which I'm going to talk to you in a minute. Rest is just as important as action. Okay. It's equally, if not sometimes more important, but for this case, so that's my water. I know that my evening time when I crochet is my water. It helps really like vitalize and revitalize and help me thrive. Again, stop thinking your water is other people. No, now you got toxic water because you're dealing with other people's stuff. Not that they're toxic, but their energy, the why I say toxic, is you can't water the orchid the same way you're going to water the fern. It's just not going to happen. So you can't have the same scenario. This is why. Now, this is important. Stop looking at all of the other plants around you, your parents, your friends, Instagram, TikTok, all these things. Stop it. You're comparing, you're going, ooh, they look really good. They watered themselves so good. I'm going to go water myself. And now you're like, oh my God, I'm drowning. Of course you are. You're not going to have the same life as another human being. You're not going to have the same water recommendation and need as another human being. So stop watering your plants based on somebody else's scenario of what their needs are. Do you see how important that is? Because that's what's happening. That's the people pleasing. You keep overwatering yourself because everybody else needs more water. Why? You're drowning yourself. There's literally, like, as with anything, too much of anything is not great. And if you're giving yourself water when you don't need the water, that's a problem. You're drowning yourself out. It's hard to thrive that way. It feels heavy. You get all gross, and like, that's just how it is. So you got to identify what it is, and it can't be other humans. I'm going to always hang that up, because how many people go, well, you know what makes me feel good is when I'm giving back. Yeah, that's great. That's part of being a human. That's part of service. I love that. I'm here for it. That's my entire profession. That's why I love my job so much. But I wouldn't be good for anybody. You guys, even on this podcast, or my clients or my family, if I'm not watering myself accurately and adequately, right? I know there's a certain amount of time that I like to people, and when I'm done, I'm done. You know, I'm done. I don't have to worry about saying to everybody, hey guys, like, oh, I think I'm like a little peopled. I'm just gonna be like, okay, well, this is it. I'm done peopling. Because I know that I have to water myself. My plant, my roots, my leaves, the vitality of those leaves all matter. And they're all my responsibility. No one else is watering me. See, that's the other problem. If I ask you to water my plants, okay, I go, hey, thank you for watering my plants, but I don't give you instructions. I just say, hey, come over and water my plants. And you don't really know much about plants. You come over, you think, okay, I guess I don't give you the details. I don't go, hey, the orchid, you only put 1 ice cube in it and X amount a day. Like, I don't give you detailed descriptions. Well, you come over and you're like, oh, well, soil looks dry. Oh, okay, I'm just going to water it. Like, you're allowing other people to water you. So, like, what do you do in that case? Well, guess what? The way you water yourself is the way everybody else is going to water you. If you don't, remember, the way you treat yourself is the way other people will treat you. If you are self-loathing, other people are, it's not their responsibility to fix you. Your self-loathing is for you to process through therapies, through coaching, through various things. It's not for anybody else to water you. They're going to overwater you, underwater you. Now you're mad. They didn't give you enough water. Why are we worried about them? So in order to provide the instructions on how to water a plant, you better know damn skippy how much water you need. Because if not, you're reliant upon somebody to water you. They don't even have a direction. They're doing the best they can, and then you're pissed off. I'm mad. Why didn't they do? Well, good God, they didn't know what to do. They cannot read your mind. Stop that, and stop the expectation of they just should water you because you watered their plants. They don't have to come to your house and water your plants. They don't owe that to you. If you choose to water somebody else's plants, you do so with the intention that you don't need it done back. So do you see how important this is? And do you see how much? And here's something I would encourage you to do. You don't have to, but I would encourage you to do this. Even if you have a brown thumb, go get a plant. Doesn't have to be anything big. Listen to those words. Go get a plant. Go study getting that plant on what plant you know you're capable of having. If you know you're not home a lot, and you know you can't move a plant from here to get more light and here to get less light and all this stuff, then you better do research on a plant on what's going to serve your lifestyle, right? So seriously, I would really encourage you to do this practice. So let's say you say, okay, I work from home. Okay, so you have more time at home, so you're able to spend a little bit more care to this plant, right? Is it going to be an indoor plant? Is it going to be an outdoor plant? Is it going to be both? Do you know when to bring it in? Do you know what temperature to plant it in? Do you know what soil you need? I would encourage you to do that because it will start to give you an indication on doing it for yourself. So I would love to hear like any feedback on my Instagram, official Lori Wheeler, or even over on YouTube, because this goes right to YouTube, on what plant you chose, why you chose it, and what strategy you have to take care of it, right? So it's not just good enough to be like, okay, I can do this. Okay, well, what's your watering schedule look like? Do you have to fertilize it? How often do you have to fertilize it? Do you have to replant it? Because it's going to outgrow that area, right? Just like you're going to outgrow your situation and your circumstances. So if you're going to outgrow it, then guess what you need to do? You need to outgrow it. You need to repot it in a whole different pot. That's what you need to do. So I would love for you, and I would encourage you, I'm going to give you this as a challenge. I don't care who you are. I don't care how old you are listening to this. I want you to get a different plant. You can even name the plant. Plants actually love when you talk to them. They really do. But do the research based on knowing what you can provide the plant. Don't just go do it because I asked you to go do it. Now you're going to do it tomorrow. No, that would not be patient. That would be rushing the process. Do the study and watch it grow. And you can become not attached in a negative way, but like attached to that same methodology on finding what it is for you. Do you see how much time it takes? Do you see how much effort you took in the beginning before you even got the plant? It's the exact same thing with you as a human. Invest the energy in the research before you invest in buying it and before you invest in yourself. Like on, this is what I need, and I'm going to go lose weight tomorrow, and this is what, no, you're not. Which brings me to number 5. Okay? Sunshine. So many plants. There are a few plants. I don't know off the top of my head what they are, but I know that they bloom at night. Plants need sunshine. What is that for you? That's gratitude. Plants need sunshine. And you know what else they need? Get this, more so trees, but so some plants don't need this, but trees has to have wind. What's wind? Adversity, resistance. That's what creates strong roots. There was a study done where they created the perfect atmosphere in like this bubble and gave it nutrients, gave it everything. And the tree, as it would get bigger, it would fall over. And they're like, I don't understand. It was missing wind. You can't have strong roots. You can't be strong without having negativity. You can't be strong without having adversity. You can't be strong with that. So the sunshine is gratitude. Gratitude for the lessons. Gratitude for the wind. Gratitude for the sunshine. Gratitude for giving yourself that time and space. Gratitude for being able to demonstrate to somebody how you want and need to be watered. Do you see how those 5 ways is exactly how it pertains to you? See? So that's why I like to give you an analogy that's going to be effective for you to understand it. So then when I say to you, hey, what do you need? What do you need to thrive? You're not like, I don't know. Well, you do know because you did all this research in this plant and you are the plant. In this scenario, you are the plant. You have to thrive in a situation that only you know what that looks like. So that's what I want you to do. And I really do want you to go get a plant now, but not now. I want you to research on what plant to get, what's going to make sense in your house. If you have animals, is it toxic to the animals if the animals eat it? See, there's variables. These are the things that are going to come up in your mind and you're going to start being more intentional. Why is this going to be effective? Not only is it going to be intentional when buying a plant, it's going to be intentional when buying clothing. Does this serve a purpose? Is this something I'm going to use? It's going to be intentional when setting your goals. Is this just something I want because I want fast money? Or is this something that's going to nurture me? So do you see how one thing I tell you is going to spider web through most of your life? This is so important. And I promise we're going to do a lot more things like this in the new year too. And like I said, that's why over on Patreon, if you do decide to do that, you'll kind of learn how I deal with my cycles and how you can with you. And again, it's the process. It's patience. It's knowing what you need. And guess what? You might not need that a year from now. You might need new stuff. You might need a whole new box, a whole new thing, because you always have to take stock on who you are. You don't just say, this is who I am, and then this is what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Maybe, maybe not. And remember, a plant and a tree, it grows into the sun. So if you ever set a plant out and you see, wow, it's really leaning this way, it's craving that sunlight. So how much gratitude are you craving? How much water are you craving? Are you wilting away? Are you wilting away because somebody else is sucking that nutrient from you? Are you wilting away because your soil sucks? And you just hope one day the soil is going to be different and you can thrive? No, you can't heal in a toxic situation like that. You can't. Understanding, you can't just jump out of the soil, but there's a process, much like getting this plant. And that's why I think this can be so transformational for you. I mean, ridiculously transformational for you. But guess what? You got to do the research. You got to water yourself. You got to make sure your soil is good. Like, there's a process here. It's not just an overnight thing that you're just going to snap your fingers. Pump your brakes. You're going to end up overwatering yourself and being tired, and now you're getting thrown out. You're like, why do I keep throwing this plant out? Well, because this plant is not growing. Other people can't make you grow, baby. So that is the wrap on why you and a plant are basically one and the same. And all the more reason to have gratitude for these plants. Nurture the plants. What's the effort you want to put into it? Name it. Give it a pretty pot. Talk to it every day. Tell it how beautiful it is, just like you would yourself. Every day isn't going to be sunny. You're going to look outside and be like, oh my God, it's raining. Yep, but you need those days. Without the rain, especially if you're an outdoor plant, without the rain, oh boy, you got to put all this effort into it. And at the end of the day, without rain, the plant's not going to live. You got to have those not so great days with the good days. That creates stronger roots. Now you have resilience. And that is the definition of resilience. It's not just being a survivor, it's being resilient in that survival skill. So that is your biggest homework this week, is to appreciate yourself. Reach for the sun, baby. Gratitude has to be there. Right? Do you see how all of this makes you take ownership of yourself? And it doesn't make you so angry towards other people because you're too busy trying to figure out what the hell soil you need? Trust me, this self-love thing is a real good thing. It forces you to be intentional with your actions. It forces you to be intentional when you're planning. It makes it about you for you, not about you for other people, but about you for you. And so it does so much. It gives you the time to nurture yourself when other people planted you in some weird ass soil that you never asked for in the first place, didn't water you, definitely threw you in a corner. Okay, well, guess what? You can actually bring plants back. So even if you feel that your roots have been nasty and terrible and you just haven't thrived and you haven't had the situation for it, you have the power to do it on yourself. I promise you. And when you do that, you start seeing things a lot brighter. You start looking more vibrant. But most importantly is you have that self-love, and then the people around you are benefiting from that, and so are you. So with that being said, love yourself like you would any other plant.
Check it out.